The situation in Afghanistan is grim. Reports from Panjshir talk of horror that locals face at the hands of Taliban. But has Panjshir fallen? Where are Amrullah Saleh and Ahmad Massoud? Joining me on India First is Ahmad Wali Massoud, former Afghanistan ambassador to the United Kingdom and the brother of the Lion of Panjshir, Ahmad Shah Massoud. Ambassador Massoud, welcome on India First. Sir, what is the latest when it comes to Panjshir resistance? How much does Taliban truly control in the Panjshir Valley?
Well, let me say that the Taliban controls only the narrow road along the valley. As you know, the terrain of Panjshir, so there are a lot of side valleys. So majority of the places under control of the resistance. Only the road of the valley is controlled by the Taliban. But the situation there is that, of course, the Taliban have been resorting to some sort of genocide, and they are doing criminal act. And of course, they are doing mass killing in different villages. And every village, they are killing 5, 6, 7 to 15 to 20 people. And of course, they're all civilians, all civilians. They don't have nothing to do with war. But those warriors and the fighters and the resistance fighters, they're all in the mountain. They're in the side valleys, away from the road itself. But the Taliban are committing atrocities, genocide, inside the, along the villages, which are along the road itself there. And of course, they have cut the food, they have cut the essential commodities to the valley, and they are not allowing the people to go to their bodies. When they kill, even the families are not allowed to see their own family, to touch them like that. So the situation is very dire and bleak, but at the same time, the resistance is very active. And we hope that the resistance will be able to take back the valley.
Okay. Ambassador, what can you tell us about the current position of the caretaker President Amrullah Saleh? Where is he? We saw and we heard of reports of his brother Rahullah Saleh being tortured and killed by the Taliban.
Well, I just heard that he is gone to Tajikistan. That's all I heard. But yes, of course, his brother have been executed, is killed. And the same way like his brother, as I mentioned before, there are tens of people from Panjshir. They have been executed, they have been murdered, they have been killed. Very kind of cruelty, very with cruelty. So that is the situation right now at this moment.
And sir, where is your nephew, the young Ahmad Massoud? Who's leading the men or who's leading the fighters in Panjshir?
He's fine, he's good, he's with high moral. He's, of course, he has got a lot of support across Afghanistan. You can see the voice of the women of Afghanistan, the voice of the younger generation. Of course, at the moment, the resistance of Panjshir is not only a geographical resistance in Panjshir itself, it has really kind of gone to have become a national aspiration, a national motivation. Even it has gone through the international arena itself. So it means that resistance is backing, is attracting a big and strong voices from across the world, and that of course has inspired the leadership of the national resistance of Afghanistan. Okay. And at the same time, now there are so many people already inside Afghanistan to take up arms against the Taliban, against the terrorists. That was not before, let's say about a week ago or 10 days ago, that was not the case. But today there are people in different cities, and everybody is volunteer to take arms against the Taliban and against the terrorists in Afghanistan. That all belong to they all want to belong to the national resistance of Afghanistan, and that is something which is kind of coming up.
Ambassador Massoud, there were reports that the Pakistan Army and the Pakistan Air Force, they were directly involved in Panjshir. Is there evidence to suggest that? Of course, even other neighboring countries like Iran have commented on the involvement of Pakistan's security forces in Panjshir.
Well, we have heard a lot. We have had a lot of news about that one. We have had a lot of news, and therefore we want to make it authentic. We want to make sure that that's how is the situation, to verify it like that. But there are a lot of reports about that interference, a lot.
There are also inputs that indicate that Pakistan, the ISI, is using, whether it's Lashkar-e-Taiba or Jaish-e-Mohammed or weapons that have been taken from Afghanistan, given even to the Islamic State Khorasan province, the ISKP, and those terrorists are now at launch pads. What is, how is Pakistan doing this, and what more can you tell us about this dual threat that Pakistan and Taliban together pose to the region?
As I mentioned that, the Taliban is not as, they are the part of the terrorist network. They are not kind of indigenous kind of Afghans who do not want nothing to do with terrorists. They are part of the international network. So therefore, what happens at the moment in Afghanistan, definitely, surely that will affect our neighboring countries as well, including Pakistan, because there are a lot of Taliban inside of Pakistan as well. So therefore, what we are seeing that these two countries, they will be affected simultaneously by the terrorists and by the Taliban. And maybe some people may think that, well, we may be safe, we can challenge the Taliban on the other side, but that's not right, because the Taliban do not really kind of recognize the boundary. They do not recognize what is the geography, whatever. They go whatever they can do. So they terrorize the whole nation. They terrorize our values. So therefore, everybody will be affected. Definitely Pakistan will be affected by such thing as well. They may not realize it right now, but they will realize it very soon, that the terrorist is not something that you can handle, so we can contain that one. Yes, there are countries who want to use terrorism as a tool to enhance their interest in the region, but that is wrong, and that will backfire. We know from our experience from the past, we know that one. Of course, they will never, at the end of the day, they will not succeed in Afghanistan. We know our people, we know our motive, but at the same time, may I say that the others will be affected as well. It's not that it will go one side, it will go both sides.
So what do the people of Afghanistan expect of the international community? What are your expectations of people, especially in Panjshir, or those who are militarily resisting the Taliban? What are their expectations? Should the world, should democracies recognize the Taliban administration, their government?
Well, there are some circles, there are some politicians, there are maybe some government, maybe trying to somehow recognize the Taliban because they do have their own interest with the Taliban. They think that they can use the Taliban as a tool to enhance their own interests. But let me say that the general perception that we have got, the world will not recognize the Taliban. How exactly you can recognize the Taliban as they are part of the terrorist network? I mean, they are terrorists. You really have to make a very red line. This is terrorists who terrorize people, and their values is very different, their theology is very different, their school is very different, their tools is very different, and this is kind of humanity. Yes, we do have differences. Every politician, countries, everybody have got. But let me say that you have to make a very red line in between the humanity and terrorists. If you don't make that one, then everybody will be affected. So therefore, if you don't make that red line, it means that the terrorists will really kind of exploit the situation to their own benefit, as they have done so. Let's say 20 years ago, my late brother Massoud was assassinated by the terrorists. He said to the world community from the West, he said, look, this is our problem today, tomorrow it will be your problem. But it was not heard that time. It went unheard. Well, let's see what happened to the past 20 years. A lot of terrorist networks expanded. Even the Americans left the whole thing like that, sold us out to the terrorists. They all went there. So now, if it's still this message is unheard, then everybody will lose. Everybody lose. It's not the matter of politics. It's not the matter of who is this country or that country. It's the matter of terrorism. This is a cancer. We have to be careful about such things. We really have to take care that they should not be recognized because they are part of terrorist network. Can't you see from their cabinet member? A few of them are in the blacklist. A few of them are criminal. A few of them are connected to drug and all of that one. Can't we see that one? Can't you see in practice what you are doing the past 3 weeks? Selective killing, massacre, depriving people, intimidating, breaking people's houses. Can't we see that? I mean, there's not one positive thing as if they have done it. If somebody kind of comes there to say that, well, we won't recognize the terrorists or the regime of Taliban, it means that other terrorist network worldwide, they will be encouraged to really do the same thing. So everybody will be affected.
So you're saying that this cancer, as you put it, cannot be ignored and should not be ignored. As far as the government is concerned, of the 33-member government of Afghanistan, 30 are Pashtuns, 1 Uzbek, 2 Tajiks. Is this what you had expected? This, when you talk about inclusion, promises not kept, no women represented. So does this establishment represent the people of Afghanistan? Will Taliban keep the promise that they made at Doha?
Well, what's next? The only opportunity at the moment we have got inside Afghanistan is to help the national resistance of Afghanistan. That is the resistance which have accomplished, which have delivered before, in the past 20 years before, when they kind of defeated the Taliban altogether. They can do it right now, the same people, because this is our homeland, this is our country, this is our home, this is our pride. So we are the people who don't want the Taliban to come there. So therefore, the opportunity, which is national resistance for Afghanistan, that has to be taken. If they, of course, they can do a kind of diplomatic sort of activity, they do political sort of activity, they do economic sanction, they don't have to recognize the Taliban, they can do all sorts of things. But really, what exactly is a kind of very concrete step to do it is that to help the national resistance for Afghanistan, which they have delivered in the past, they can deliver again.
Ambassador Massoud, for the moment, many thanks for joining me here.